On Waleed. Okay. All right, good. All right, I think we can start. It's time. People will gradually trickle in as we go on. Welcome, everyone, to our webinar series of healthcare research and innovation landscape in Pakistan. I'm Danish Bhatti. I'm the chair for APPNA Merit 2021. And I welcome you all, and it's my pleasure to have you and our speaker and panelists for the discussion today. As you know, we're trying to do this series of webinars to invite all aspects and domains of people in healthcare research and innovation in Pakistan to see what's going on in Pakistan, what new is happening, so that we don't work in silos, we develop collaborations and network. I encourage all of you to recommend speakers that you think are doing excellent work in Pakistan to be invited. If you want to be a speaker, please send your topic and your resume for consideration by the research webinar committee. I also want to thank APNA RISA committee, Research Education Scientific Affairs Committee, for collaborating on these series of webinars with us, with kindly offering CME credit in covering the cost and funds for CME cost for these webinars. You can see the accreditation statement. We will be asking all the speakers to share the slides with us beforehand so we can review it. They will be disclosing their conflicts and any other business and investment affiliations where appropriate. And we will try to be as open and disclose as much as we can. These webinars are a learning opportunity to enhance our understanding of the current field of research in healthcare innovation in Pakistan. And that's why we invite industry leaders and various organizational leaders to present their work. We're not endorsing or promoting any specific individual or organization. This is an open platform. Anyone can have this space and present their work and present their ideas to anyone. So again, as I said, if you are interested in speaking or want to recommend someone, please reach out to us, apnamerit@gmail.com, or any other way, shape, or form possible. So with that, let me start with the topic for today. We are discussing challenges of conducting clinical trials in Pakistan's and lessons learned. And we have a very appropriate person to give us a context on this complicated topic, Mr. Khurram Zaki Khan, who is the chief executive and owner of Dimension Research, which is one of the top CROs in Pakistan. He is a microbiologist by background and profession. He did a master's from University of Karachi in '89 and postgraduate diploma in bacteriology from Victoria University in Manchester, UK. He has more than 25 years of clinical research and medical marketing and patient support services experience. He's worked with multinational companies and has been running his own company. He has expertise in study development, site evaluation and development, clinical research certification training, multi-center study management, and so on and so forth. Various aspects of conducting a clinical trial, especially a multi-center and maybe in a multinational trial. So he'll be giving us his context, his background, his experience of doing trials in Pakistan as a learning source for us. And with that, let me invite Khurram Zaki Khan Saab to go ahead with his presentation.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And first, I'd like to thank APNA for giving me this opportunity to address their August gathering. It's really an honor for me. So I will basically start with some history background of clinical trials because we are one of the initiators of this industry. So first, the disclosure statements. I don't have any financial conflict of interest with presenting this material. So that's your requirement fulfilled. Okay. So basically the 1990s was the golden era, I call it, of clinical research in Pakistan. Most of the multinational companies were conducting phase 2, 3, 4 clinical studies all over Pakistan. Mainly the studies were conducted by their own medical departments. So human resource development was also being done. Even these guys from Pakistan, they are going to European states or to US for further training. I was with Eli Lilly at that time, and was promoted to project manager, clinical research manager, then was covering regional areas and including UK and Southeast Asia for different specific clinical trial trainings. So that was the golden era when everything was what we call hunky-dory here for clinical research. However, with time, multinational companies start retracting these activities for, I don't know, the reasons behind was mainly sales linked or uh, the education or background or of the managing directors uh, of these companies, that they link everything with the sales. However, in case of India, they were not linking with the sales, and they were promoting this research activity and the research generated by India to their companies. So due to those perspective, they were starting retracting from Pakistan these clinical research. At that time, in multinational CROs were involved in Pakistan, and those were Covance, Apex, I3 research mainly, and they were acting as central laboratory and assessment of biological materials. Then electronic data capture started coming, and those were also multinational or CROs. At the same time, Pakistan GCP guidelines was developed. The regulatory environment at the time was quite smooth, and because we were training the sites, so even the ethics committees were being, trained and made at different centers by us, and we helped the centers to, in this way, the centers were being upgraded by the multinationals or their team. And around that time, I just commented that in Eli Lilly, they will start, retracting their research activities from Pakistan. And I was being offered the product management job, and then it didn't fit my profile. So I left the company and opened up my own company in a partnership. So that was the first CRO, indigenous CRO in Pakistan back in March 2005. In 2008, and then we have some small studies, big studies going on. But anyway, but the what I call the major step, or we call a discipline effort to promote clinical research industry in Pakistan was made, and that was the only once it was done, and afterwards still we are waiting for such a step. And at that time, Dr. Juma was the director of Jinnah Post JPMC, and later he became the DG Health. And Mr. Tariq Gram was Minister of State and Chief Executive TDEP. Both of them joined hand, and they arrange as international seminar on clinical research management opportunities and challenges in Pakistan. In that, that was partly funded by the government, the TDEP, and in that, almost all the stakeholders came and presented. And that was a big shots like Covance, Cointel's, PPD, regional directors came to Pakistan. They have also visited different sites. There was and the local CRO perspective was presented by myself over there. And then a working group was formed. A comprehensive report was generated. And after that, only thing is that what we call Raat Gayi or Baat Gayi, that nothing happens afterwards. We are talking about 2008, and we are sitting in 2021. After that effort, nothing happens, no follow-up. Even we have tried to, touch base with them, but unfortunately, it's like a person in Pakistan, in the institute, if a person left, so everything left, we leave with him. So then I have to, because we have started the business, so mainly the issue was HR and human resource, trained human resource. So we could not get those from the routine systems that we in the country. So I work with the Dow University of Health Sciences. We have a joint venture. We have initiated the first clinical research certified program or course in Pakistan, and still it's going on. The purpose of that course was mainly to generate uh, healthcare professionals with the knowledge of clinical trials, so we can use them for clinical research purposes. The costing was also low, but the clinical trial unit unfortunately took it in a wrong way, and they thought that okay fine, every 3 months they are generating ₹1 million by these fees. So that is still their only activity uh, up till now. So, but anyway, from that activity, personally, I have trained more than 400 healthcare professionals. Afterwards, um, Vice Chancellor of DAW, Dr. Masood Hamid left, and once he left, the program is now run by DAW University by themselves. Recent development is the Biostudy Rules 2017. This is a comprehensive document how to conduct clinical research in Pakistan, and the rules and regulations are there. And the fee structure is a separate SRO. So if you are interested, we can share that with the team. And then after this implementation, they have come up with a new concept. It was that they have to register all the CROs and the clinical centers or sites working or though want to work clinical research, especially if they want approval from DRAP. So this is totally new. The idea is good, but there is a limitation because the DRAP don't have resources to assess all the institutes. I'm talking about not the private one, even the government one are still waiting or not interested or whatever so we are now handicapped. So like we have only 38 institutes which are approved by the DRAP after audit, and we have only 6 CROs. Among 6 CROs, 2, 3 are non-functional. One is an academic institute. So IQVIA also got registered in Pakistan. So IQVIA, because IMS was taken over by Quintel, so they have this office, small office, 3, 4 people sitting and doing international work. We are representing Covance, Icon, other CROs in Pakistan. And then afterwards, pharmacovigilance guidelines implemented in October 2019. The rules, pharmacovigilance rules are still awaited. According to these guidelines, all the pharmaceutical companies need to report any ADR to the DRAP on 15 days basis. So again, on paper it's good, but unfortunately it's only 1% sitting there. Actually there were 3, now it's 1 who will take care of all the ADR reported from all the pharmaceutical companies to DRAP. Regarding the lessons learned, or the things that I want to share, the issues or the limitations, I will be very open, candid in that I don't want to paint a very rosy picture. Everything is fine. Or I want to share the reality, the issues, and of course the opportunities. So in the human resource factor, as you know, in clinical research, this is the main asset. As we say in our CRO business, every day our asset go out of the office, and then we wait for the asset to come back the next morning. So, but in over here, like in MBBS or in pharmacy, also in universities, like subjects like physiology, microbiology, biochemistry, clinical research portion is missing. Even there are some they touch some parts, ADR, etc. in pharmacy studies, but in case of unfortunately with medical doctors, and they are not teaching clinical research, they are not teaching ICA GCP guideline. It's not there. So that's unfortunate. If there should be a move that their syllabus need to be updated because they are missing out on a very important portion of their field. So in initial phase, our handicap was at getting good people. So I told you earlier that we had a joint venture with the Dow University of Health Sciences. We have trained people. Now, right now we have a very robust system of training in-house, and we take the people, we train them. We have shadow monitoring processes, and then we certify them to they can we do the monitoring or other tasks independently. So that's our own business. We have to do a lot of efforts. So anyone, because I have heard other lectures as well related to CRO and clinical trials, people were saying that, oh, okay, this is the huge business, 70 billion, etc. dollars, and it looks like pitching something to sell. I was waiting to hear someone saying that I have invested this much amount of money in that institute to develop that institute. Unfortunately, I haven't heard up till now. I don't know. This is a business, and if you want to promote a business, you have to have a shop. You have to have a place of business. The place of business for me is not my office. It's the hospital or healthcare facility, and the people that I want to do business with the healthcare professionals. So we have invested on institutes. We have invested on people, and then from those institutes we get our profits. So if you want to work in Pakistan, you need to think on that perspective that sites need to be developed, people need to be developed, and then from those developed personnel or end sites, you can get your business. The pharmaceutical environment is we have tried to convince them for local trials, registries, generation of local data, but it's unfortunate. The background first, I've told you that in medical sciences, other thing, they are not being taught about this thing. Even in IVA or marketing, they are not being taught about the strength, how to use different type of clinical trials for different marketing perspectives. So only few national companies, they were interested in doing some trial only because of majburi of export. In the exporting countries, they have a requirement for local data. So only because of that part, or if doctors are challenging that you don't have human data, so they were doing that. Otherwise, there is no interest up till now. I haven't seen those interests. Even now, I can see some interest in due to COVID vaccine, but it's like it's a transition period and it will pass. Multinational companies, I told you that their priorities are set somewhere else, not for the Pakistan or not for this area. The priorities are set by the corporate office. If we are interested, and unfortunately, the feedback usually given to them by their medical department is that it's very tough to do clinical trial in Pakistan stuff, because mainly the reason is they have to do the work and they have to be accountable. So that's my perspective. Maybe I'm wrong, but because I have worked in multinational in both perspective, when it was doing good clinical research and when they have stopped clinical research, so I know the mindset. However, in this environment, recent environment, CROs become the source of generating clinical research activities in Pakistan, because CROs, they are working with the international sponsors, they are working with the other multinational CROs, they are doing local projects, they are doing international projects. So in whole of the world, the pharmaceutical industry, they generate clinical trials, they generate the business. But in Pakistan, right now even CRO is the source of generating clinical research business. The regulatory environment is much better now. It's streamlined. The regulations are there. However, the timelines still, it's not fixed. They need to set some timelines that, okay, so this is the first response time, or etc. But even having said that, it's much better, much organized. National Bioethics Committee is doing very wonderful job. They are doing giving timely approvals. They are asking very technical and very logical questions. Institutional review boards, the capacity of them were enhanced over the year. So we have to really prepare those years for IRB approvals very precisely. We have some issues with the import of clinical trial material, or especially more in biological specimen export, because custom is involved in it. So especially in biological material in export, their regulations are more stringent now, but it's not stopped, but you have to fulfill all the regulations. The legal environment, as you know, the term agreement, honoring the agreement, etc. is things that people are understanding now, but still we have to remind them that sir, you have signed the agreement. These are the responsibilities, role and responsibilities, so you have to follow, or you will get the financial things once you complete the agreement clause. So there is a development area over here. So usually when you are having a clinical trial, so first step is after human resource and regulatory, before that even, we have to select sites, evaluate sites. We have a very shortage of established clinical trial sites. There are very few with clinical trial units. They are still, like for example, if I talk about Karachi, it's 3 crore of a population. We have like Indus Hospital, Aga Khan Hospital. Then Jinnah hospitals are there, but there are a lot of lacking over there. All the government hospitals, which should be the base where we can get a lot of patients, unfortunately, medical record systems are not there. Ethics committees are there, where they are exposed to clinical trial. But if you think that you give them and they start doing it, it's difficult because they are short of staff. The staff, so if someone is thinking about doing clinical trials, so you need to invest. I told you earlier, on sites. You have to have the site management capabilities. You have to have people that you can put there who can do the job well under the umbrella of the investigator over there. So this is how we are doing right now. All these studies, we also take site management responsibilities. We provide them the personnel. We work very closely with them. So otherwise, wherever we keep this or we put things like on the hand of the site, we always have some troubles. Especially right now, we are doing COVID vaccine study. So initially, there's nobody was expecting how many people the site should have. Sites were selected by the sponsor once the vaccine trial started. So people were shocked because the Chinese said, you need to have like 20 people sitting here for managing these patients. But over there's hardly 10. So that was a shocking thing. So after that, we have to provide them again, our site managers. We have to increase the clinical research team. So over that time, we have to almost double our team, because otherwise the site will collapse. So again, investment on sites to develop for pipeline project is an essential part if you want to do trial, or if you could not, then your partner over here in Pakistan should have the capability to invest or have the capability to have trained personnel over there. So would this be a limiting factor or not? No, I'm saying that it's not a limiting factor to conduct clinical research. It's just you need to plan accordingly. You could not leave this on chances or over the side. The monitoring, the environment over here, or the culture here is, if you point out something, people take it personally. So unfortunately, it's also we have experienced that when we are pointing out something at, for example, at a very reputable or big institutes, or of a professor well known, and we are saying that you have done this protocol violation, deviation, or your coordinators have done missed all these things. So they initially they were taking it very personally. They start debating about it, etc. So, but with time, they learned that monitors are not auditors, and monitors are assisting them rather than they are pinpointing. So now the things are much better as compared to earlier phase, but still the concept with them is the perfect investigator, no query, no protocol deviation. But if I may share that I have met such a perfect investigator in Lahore, very big name, and that was in Ramadan season, and because I was traveling, so I was not fasting. So he said, okay, you sit over there, I sit here, and then you do the monitoring. I start, working on the data forms. Just by chance, I came to his room, and he was basically managing the drug accountability by throwing away the tablets of the drug. So of course we have blacklisted that guy, but so there is no perfect investigator, no perfect study. So if there is something perfect, there is something fishy. In case of audits, recently we have this Chinese audit, Chinese regulated audit, and before that we have multiple site audits. If you again in for new sites or sites with big names, we have problems. They always again take personally when we say, okay, you are doing this, and auditors are coming, you need to clean this thing up, or rectify those things. So people who understand before the audit will their audit is good. Otherwise, after the audit, of course, when there are critical findings, then realize that we are doing what we are saying was right. What I am saying is that since I'm not a medical doctor, and usually the medical doctors treat non-medic a little inferior to them, and if especially someone telling you something which is not your forte, so we have to bridge this thing. We have to make them understand. That's why we usually give them some ICH GCP refreshers or courses, so they understand what is the domain of who is going to do what, and what is our work. So it's still the learning process. I'm in working here in 2005, if you say it's like 15 years. So could you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, all right. So still it's work under progress, that making them understand that what's your job and what's our job. So if we do the SWOT for Pakistan, and if somebody wants to do some business here, then let me take on that. Our strengths are because we are an English speaking country in a way that official language is English and all the medical record English. This is a very plus point. I am just meeting these Chinese guys. They are expert in their work. Unfortunately, there is a lot of handicap, this language barrier. So and they could not sometime read or could not read the English language. So this is a very plus point for us. We have foreign trained healthcare professionals. We have excellent doctors. We are people who are exposed to clinical research, but they are exposed to a very developed clinical research infrastructure. So here there is issues. When they have come to Pakistan, it's not that much developed, but our expectations are similar to a US or FDA. So that's why over there we have to bridge the gaps. We have to provide them skilled personnel. So then we have good medical facilities, yes, and we are the 5th most populous nation with genetic diversity, which is very important and good to have, and treatment naive subjects are there. Our weaknesses are, of course, lack of trained personnel and healthcare professionals. This is the most critical thing, this is the most critical that we need to work on that part. Anybody who wants to do business, first address this issue. Regulatory timelines are not fixed and few sites are exposed to international clinical research. There are many good sites, but not all of them are exposed to international clinical research, and only we have a couple of certified central laboratories, because laboratory factors now with every trial we have been requested for central laboratory in the country, and of course they also take biological samples out of the country for further testing, but they need to have a certified a lab that have branches all over Pakistan, so the sample could be analyzed in a central environment or central lab. Only I say Aga Khan qualify for that. Chuktai lab in some cases qualify for that. But all the other labs are, either like Shifa International is limited. So we are handicapped on that part. Low literacy level is also a problem, because now patient diaries or electronic patient diaries are in place. So you need to have people, for example, in a COVID study, there are some cohort where the patient need to fill electronic or paper patient diary. So for that, we have to pick and choose only the educated lot. The 6th is a little harsh maybe for you guys, is that what I have noted is that expats, if Indians, they are very very quick to bring business from US or UK to India. I feel a lot of reluctance. I feel an experience also, because my colleagues or my seniors went to US or UK, almost all of them, and they are in a very good positions over there on director levels or senior management in Eli Lilly, in different CROs. We talk, we try to convince, we say at least you can have us vendors selected, but unfortunately I don't know for what reason, you will tell me, that I have not received the same responses. Still there is a lot of reluctant. So we need more APPNA from APPNA and your participant. Test us, or I'd say audit us, but do come to Pakistan, because there is a lot of opportunity, but for that you need to work with us to develop things. The opportunities are, there's huge potential in investing and development of sites. I was just talking to one of a US site management organization, which is partly owned by Pakistani, and he also have a small office here, and he has 600 sites, and 100 sites are in US, and 100 sites are operational, and he was amazed to see the potential and working with us, and most probably hopefully we will be working very soon. So site management or preparing sites only dedicated for your work is a potential business right now. It's a low-hanging business, what I can say. Less competition at sites, but for example, in case of COVID, we have 5 sites, and then now there is second study came so they are also hitting the same site. This third study is also coming, so we need to then they will be overwhelmed. So um, so that's why we need to develop more sites. Chinese regulatory bodies accepted Pakistani data. The company will be getting registration. Chinese companies is coming, very fast from Pakistan. Even one of the Chinese large CRO, TigerMed, already have an office in Lahore. They are not registered up till now, but they are working through us also, and they can work through any other people as well. So this is an opportunity. Online service in monitoring and pharmacovigilance, another opportunity that this is a business that you just need to train the people here and they can start doing work. Just in olden days, the medical transcription was there, but this is more beneficial. Remote monitoring is a thing of COVID. After COVID, this is remote monitoring business is exploded. Pharmacovigilance and knowledge-based projects like proteomic, genomic, etc. So these proteomic, genomic, or biological sample procurement along with data is a very good business and a good opportunity. Also generate uh, essential data for the local population. Our threats are limited talent pool. Again, this is the biggest threat that we have. We don't have threats that many CRO come, as many as they can come, but they will promote the business, but we don't have sites or the personnel. So that's the issue. Perceived instability in the country. About Pakistan, there was a perception, that is not stable. So this is one of the perception that need to be removed. And investors without clinical such background entering the market. This is a trend that I am looking at. So I'll give you my example that my previous partner was a fishery guy, and they have invested. They don't have anything to do with the clinical research. So they were taking it as a business, and there is no ethical background behind them. So they're just there to. So if I see more venture capitalists coming, so I start getting worried, because then I will perceive that there will be some ethical issues or dilemmas just around the corner. Even working with Chinese, I am not 100% comfortable. So I have to, assess what they are bringing, how they are doing work, and if there is ICI GCP guideline, I just point out very clearly. So that's the SWOT part, and we can discuss further during the question answer. So again, opportunities are bioequivalence, bioavailability, pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics. These studies, we have very good centers in Pakistan. It's only thing is not been explored. It's only thing is that it's not being linked with international. There was some efforts, but the parties were, there was some effort, but the parties were not professional. So bioinformatics, proteomics, genomics, then medical device kits, epidemiological projects is also big opportunity. Epidemiological projects are there is one CRO I know. It's not CRO, it's more like a clinical research center who are focused on epidemiological projects, especially in TB, and we are their monitors. So I saw that grow in a big way. Then international certified trainings in clinical research. I told you that only the University of Health Sciences is offering, and we have tried to bring one of the Canadian, and still we can bring some Canadian certification if until but the limiting factor again the cost factor, but we have to look into that these trained personnel will be our asset. Site ownership and management, online pharmacovigilance services. So those are some of the areas opportunities for business. This is one part of my presentation, and very briefly I will go through my company profile, not because I am promoting. I just like you to show that we have started with only two people, myself and my wife. She's a geneticist, and she's also the director of the company, and she's the project manager, and basically she look after the international trials. So with two people, we have started this company, and it is DRAP approved and was founded in 2005. Uh, it was founded in 2010, but by the I have initiated the work in 2005. So right now we have four offices, two in Karachi, one in Lahore, and one in Islamabad, and our people are sitting in 9 cities of Pakistan. So these are the cities that we are covering in Pakistan for different activities. It is clinical research, patient support, pharmacovigilance, and these are the 9 cities where our people are sitting right now. So from 2, it's now 74, just to show that they are success stories. Don't worry about the issues. Don't worry about what you are listening. So we don't have any lot of money when we have started, but things once you start, once you have your niyat are saaf, then Allah Ta'ala will help you. So, and we have a experience. This is all indigenous experience of our company. This is not like okay, we hired somebody and we are using their experience as our experience. These are all trials done by Dimension Research or participated by Dimension Research. So more than 23,000 subjects we have the experience of that. And we have like 5 publications, and there are 3 in the Tumor Genome Atlas Marker project. I was the collaborator in that. Then Getz Pharma, there was one from Abbott. So we have this. I suppose we are the only CRO with name or their personal name in publications of clinical research. We are providing the steady development to management complete services. Our forte is, of course, monitoring part, site management part, and quality assurance audits. Pharmacovigilance, another forte, and we are providing this service to the national companies. But currently, we are giving this service to ICON, which is an international CRO, and they have asked us to work for a multinational company whose medical department is not in Pakistan. We have been audited by DRAB, number of multinational CROs, because we are acting as their vendors, a number of international clinical research organizations for their partner, and then patients financial assessment assistance part, Roche, Pfizer, Lilly, Sanofi. We are ISO certified, and these are our list of customers for pharmaceutical that is in Pakistan, China, USA, and so this is the list of customers for CRO, international CRO. We work for them in different projects. So this is also one of the business possibility that you bring link mid-size or a small CRO with us or with your partner in Pakistan, and then business could come from them to us because they don't have capability for enrollment of a large number of subjects. Sometimes other opportunities target only to what we call stuck up clinical trials due to inclusion criteria or type of patients. Also in Pakistan, the rare diseases are common as compared to the other part of the world. So those are the trials, or those are the CROs, mid-size, small, that you can target and bring to Pakistan, work with your partners here. We are, so that's the last slide from my side, and I hope that I've covered everything on time. So मेहनत इतनी खामोशी से करोगे तुम्हारी कामयाबी शोर मचा दे. So that's my motto, that okay, you do your work and let the work and propagate yourself So thank you for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions, suggestions.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
so
much.
much, Mr. Khurram Zaki Khan, for this excellent presentation. Um, uh, Before I invite our panelists for today for his kind comments, let me just again repeat some house rules. This is APPNA RISA approved CME activity with AMA Category 1 CME being offered for all live audience, live participants. Your joining the Zoom automatically counts as your attendance. We'll track the attendance, and we are issuing the CME credits for every quarter, so every 12 weeks. So you can get maximum 12 CME credits for attending all these webinars, and if you attended less, then you get those numbers of CME credits sent to you. Um, the other house rule is that we would love to hear from you. If any of you have any comments, please raise your hand. We'll invite you, give you microphone to give your comments, ask your questions. This is an interactive activity, and we'd love to hear from many of you, as many as we can. We also are happy to take any person or recommendation as a speaker or panelist for our healthcare research and innovation landscape in Pakistan webinar series, with the ideas to promote understanding and networking and collaborations for the greater good in Pakistan. With that, it gives me great pleasure to invite one of my very kind mentor in this field, a friend, a fellow Chemcolian, a senior Chemcolian, Dr. Sayyid Uzair Ul Gilani, to make his comment. Sayyid Ul Ghani Saab, please go ahead. So you're muted.
Thank you very much, Danish. I'm really grateful for giving this opportunity. If you remember, when we started this activity, it was a tough task really to find out the uh, speaker from Pakistan, because you can find a lot of speaker from US. But the challenge is we need to bring those people who are actually doer, who are very close to the issues. You know, creating some policy, some recommendation, some intervention which is foreign made may not be applicable to the country. So that was the driving force, and I am really, it is a big responsibility. I am always in search of finding the right people to bring that, so to create some value. So I am privy to the activities of Khurram. Time to time we cross roads, and I had an opportunity to introduce him to some of the people who need these services. So I think it was a hard effort. Just to mention, many a time, you know, in the beginning, he was so much disinterested, so much demotivated, and he thought to switch his field to some other businesses. But I always insisted him to continue, and that is a very, very real story what he is sharing to you. uh, Khurram, my question, very simple, is, you know, you have shared your past activities. Now we are heading towards the future, and your phenomenal task to bring the clinical trials, particularly the real success story of completing 18,000 people study. So we look forward. What intervention you think is actually required, and how this forum can help you, be it the regulator, be it the activities, restructuring, because a lot of regulations are under review in these days. And this forum can help you really. So would you be sharing some of your views, please?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zair. And first, I like to comment that you are my Badri partners, and I call these Badri partners. They can, have साथ में माफ होते हैं उनको, so you can say anything to me, and you are also my mentor as well. So so mainly, sir, we have a report from TDAP. Let's start from the government thing. There was a report developed after that first seminar, but very simply, just if there are two things could be done, like treat this as a as an industry first. Treat clinical research as an industry. Implement all, if you want to promote some industry, there are some specs. In India, what they have done initially was they announced 10-year tax holiday for clinical research activities or clinical research companies. So it was, taken so much, positive way that even the multinational companies start their own CRO over there just to take benefit of clinical these tax benefits. So in Pakistan, they have done it for IT section, and you have seen that IT was promoted and IT industry was developed. But first thing is that one thing that you treat this as an industry. Secondly, there should be some tax, some benefits to people in clinical research. When I'm bringing US dollar euros to Pakistan, what's happening to me in Sindh is 13% SRB, 10% withholding tax. So 23% taxes, I have to pay from money that I am bringing to Pakistan. And in case you are a fisherman or fishery person, if you are exporting, only 1% tax you have to give on the export. I am exporting my services in a way, but I am not asking anything more. It's like you give with if a venture capitalist is coming or businessman is coming, then this is a good incentive for them. Secondly, the regulations are there. Only you need to implement them. If you just simply ask indigenous data for all new molecules being introduced to Pakistan, and that's a big incentive. You don't have to invest. Government don't have to invest anything to promote this business. Only have to take some steps. No, we don't need any government support, funds, etc. We just need some implementation. They have laws, some replication for IT industry, some incentives in the initial phase, and that will do the magic. You have seen in case of China, these COVID, government facilitated speedy approval of clinical trial for COVID. Chinese came, they got quick approval. They have invested a lot of money. They have now they are is the first product that is being registered by indigenous data. So DRAP has mold all the rules now, because earlier they were asking you have to be enrolled like registered in 22 countries, or at least in the US FDA or EU approval they need before they give you registration. First time scientifically they say fine, you have the indigenous data, you have the interim analysis, fine, you got the EUA. So this is a new ball. By looking at that, now 3 Chinese companies came with 10,000 or 20,000, 15,000 subjects. So you have just done couple of steps, and that traction become resistance वो नहीं कर पा रहे. They could not resist that these attraction right now. So that's what I am saying. That if they are making a policy, I'm not asking for a big thing. Very few things, small steps. That's it.
Thank you, Khurram Saab. I appreciate all these suggestions. Our friend from DRAP, Dr. Abedullah Malik, is also on the call with us. So let's hear from him and what he would like to add to this discussion. Ji, Malik Saab, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Danish and Uzair Saab. In fact, Khurram Saab has very beautifully portrayed clinical study landscape of our country. And again, although कि हमारे पास बात चीजें पढ़ाई लेने के लिए कम होती हैं, but again, taking the pride that since last 4 years, DRAP is working very vigorously to establish a pitch where national and international players can do all the clinical trials in the country. And purpose, as Mr. Khurram has already shared, the relevant rules have been framed. And now the question is about the implementation. All have been implemented, but definitely to bring the international players into the country, there must be some bridging gaps inside the regulatory authority and as well as the CROs which have been done. So my suggestion for the APPNA merit is to play its role for the capacity building of the regulator and for the CROs as well. Because it's not only the conduction of the trial, the most important thing is the authenticity of the trial which is being exported to the country. As Mr. Khurram is saying that it is an industry, but the rule of the game is very important to be followed at which is being done internationally. So my suggestion will be that the foremost requirement at this moment of time, both for the regulator and the clinical organization, CROs and industry, is the capacity building of their people for the requirement of the international fraternity. So my suggestion will be that we should work we should not work in silos and for bringing international trials, because now it's I really support Mr. Khurram's point of view that it's an industry and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So capacity building and the rule of the game, that rules and regulations should be much upgraded. So my suggestion for the APPNA is to cooperate and coordinate with the regulator in this regard, and so that we may proceed further. And as Mr. Khurram has shared, that first time in the Pakistan DRAB Regulatory Authority has decided the grant of EUA on the basis of evidence-based regulatory decision. Fortunately, I am chairing that very board who has decided this EUA, grant of EUA for that very trial. And again, on the basis of that, and that was a very big encouragement for the foreigner multinational companies that now Pakistan is taking decision. So my today's discussion point is that we can further upgrade our regulatory capacity and we can attract international business as well if some concrete capacity building plan be shared and be developed both for the regulatory authority and for the CROs as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. And you have done some wonderful work, and we appreciate all your hard work, your enthusiasm, your interest, your patience with us. And thank you for joining us every day. Dr. Samia Taslim, you made some comments and made some questions. Would you like to introduce yourself and share those comments?
Yes, my name is Dr. Samia. I am the PhD microbiologist and developed one innovative product for the treatment of wound care. I won DICE Innovation Award 2016 Dow Health Forum, and also attending the course of CR Clinical Research in Dow, and also attend one course. Those are offer in John Hopkins schools and Imperial College due to the COVID duration. There's a lot of difference. The Dow University of Health Sciences and other Pakistani institute offer these courses. They have no opportunity to give the practical application, because the clinical research is the practical course. It's the capacity building all nurses, ward boy staffs to record keepers and all laboratory men, doctors, and pharmacists, through all domain person. But here is unfortunately is the very no one accredit these courses. So I see the lot of difference in John Hopkins and Imperial College course and Pakistani universities offer these course. So first of all, if you develop the industry of clinical trial and pharmacovigilance and pharmacodynamic to develop the international standard course, and those collaborate for internationals key KPI like John Hopkins and Imperial College, and APPNA Forum also give to support to these collaboration to develop the first capacity building. And site develop the specific international sites. Then you offer the international companies come with and collaborators. Before capacity development, it is very difficult to international companies come and do these courses, because I compare also this clinical research to Sri Lankan industry. Those who offer the clinical research program is very well, and Bangladesh also offer the course of clinical research in very well rank, and India is a give the huge capacity building of these domain. It's offer very nominal charges of very detailed clinical research courses. So how can Pakistani Institute develop the international grade courses? So after the pass out the John Hopkins course, so I will offer you anyone collaborators to teach our students and for different area of medical sciences and health sciences to train the clinical trial and certified by the international organization. Then
Thank you, Dr.
international
Zaki.
university collaborators.
Yeah, you make a great point. We at APPNA Merit have a great interest in courses. Please share your email address and we will reach out to you to collaborate more. We have multiple courses going on right now from APPNA Merit platform, and we're always looking to expand that portfolio. Professor Hassan Abbas Zahir Saab, please go ahead with your comment or question.
Yes, I had the privilege of being part of the core team that conducted the CanSino Bio phase 3 COVID vaccine clinical trial in Pakistan recently. In fact, the trial is still in the follow-up phase. And Dimension Research was the local CRO. So I had a chance of observing very closely and they're working. And I must say that they perform very admirably and also very patiently because we faced huge challenges in this clinical trial project because it was started at a very short notice with not a proper prior opportunity for proper planning. And most of the participants, rather, I think all of them, were doing a trial of this scale for the first time. So we were all very, very surprised and also very pleased when the interim results of this trial were by the third party, were international third party, were released in February this year, which showed that the Pakistan subset data was of a superior quality compared to the rest of the 4 countries, because this was a global trial. Pakistan was the first country to conduct this, start this trial, followed by Mexico, Argentina, Chile, and Russia. And most of the documentation and the processes and the guidelines were streamlined in Pakistan, and the other countries benefited from our experience and the hard work that they had put in. So my question to Mr. Khurram is that with this very high profile clinical trial in Pakistan conducted recently, and everyone came to know about this trial, I would go out in the street during the day and meet different people, and I would ask them, have you heard about this corona vaccine trial? And invariably, everyone would say that they know that such a trial is going on. And so people realize now in Pakistan that there is something like a clinical trial, which is a very important scientific activity. So my question to Mr. Khurram is that how do you plan to make the maximum use of this high profile activity in terms of sensitizing the government and sensitizing our medical universities to take this sector and work in it?
Yes,
Professor Hassan Saab, we would be really interested in hearing your experience too on developing a clinical trial site. If you kindly will share your email address, we'll reach out to you. Ji, Khurram Saab, please go ahead.
Watson, as you know that these activities, as I've told you, that you don't have to do a lot of things to attract clinical trials to Pakistan. COVID vaccine, after this study, 3-4 Chinese companies have already lined up. One CRO is opened their, one Chinese CRO opened their office in Lahore. I'm just saying that government has only done what? Give a speedy approval, and the market is there, and we have shown the performance. That was the only 2-3 things that we have done. Nothing else. No money has been invested by the government. Now, to keep the pace, you need to replicate the same activity. If the other party is coming, then you will treat them like that. And but one thing that, in my view, is lacking is you have seen that Chinese regulators has audited our sites. Unfortunately, up till now, draft has not come to any of the site. So, and we have been given the approval. I'm not, complaining, but I'm saying that this if they come to the site, it's in the approval thing, and it will be confidence building activity. They will build the confidence of the, and the draft need to have more people involved in clinical, these pharmacy services. They have to, have more people to, so that the approval timeline, etc., are lesser. So, in my view, they can, use this as a jumping pad, have more close collaboration with at least Chinese SFDA. The biotech companies, as you know, the CPAC medical portion is also going to be launched, and we are having, like with NIH after COVID, the technology transfer talk is already going on. So this is a good time that in this activity, because we can say that about 3 to 4 years at least, these trials, different type of trials, will keep on going. Right now, COVID, CanSino has now 2-dose study coming up. The other companies, there is a 3-dose study going on. There's a 2-dose study in the pipeline. So at least 3-4 years, you have this good opportunity to attract biotech companies from China, and they are not going to go to India, as you know. So this is a good time to invest and to engage. Just focus on China even. That will be enough for Pakistani industry to develop.
Thank you, Khurram sahab. प्रोफेसर मुश्तबा कादरी, पहले तो आप बताएं आपकी सेहत कैसी है, तबीयत कैसी है? उम्मीद है कि आपको शिफा हो गई होगी और तबीयत आपकी बेहतर होगी कोविड से. एंड देन प्लीज सर मेक योर कमेंट अबाउट रिसर्च एजुकेशन. आई नो यू बीन डूइंग अ लॉट इन दिस एरिया.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. I just posted online that I got vaccinated, COVIDated, recuperated, and now feel rejuvenated, alhamdulillah. So with the virus eliminated. So I think that was a practical experience going through this. But yeah, I just wanted to echo the comments of a few people, both in the chat as well as others. Dr. Waqar Hafiz from Maruf has also written there, and others online. कि जो capacity building के ऊपर 2009 या 10 में New England Journal of Medicine में एक article था कि clinical and ethical implications of the globalization of clinical research. Scientific and ethical implications for the globalization of clinical research. And that was a major topic that we were taught when I did my Harvard certification in clinical research. It was a good 9-month intensive course way back in 2011. And we were told that there is no problem in doing these studies out in Asia and in South Asia and countries like Pakistan and the region, except the capacity building has to be done. Because if you give people the tools and don't give them the ethics, it's going to be a real disaster. And if you give them the ethics and don't give them the tools, it's going to be a validity disaster. So both of them need to be done along with the regulatory aspects. And I think based on that, in the last 6 years out at Shifa, then at NUMS, now at Maruf, and having worked with Indus Hospital and others, our idea has been to spread this movement, because we have members in our team who have practical experience in conducting clinical trials as pharmacists or nurses or physicians. And I think unless you have practical experience, all the theory that we try to sometimes do in courses, that's why it doesn't really go across. So when we try to do our courses, we emphasize on the practical, ethical, regulatory, and the validity issues of internal validity and external validity, and how to look at all the inclusion, exclusion criteria. And also we go through a lot of basics and then the practical aspects of good clinical practice. And when I was chairing the National Committee of the Ministry of Science and Technology for Clinical Research, that was a standing committee about a year back, 3 months or so it lasted. we came up with some recommendations that a capacity building institute needs to be also built. Ubaidullah Saab was also part of that, and DRAP was very much in partnership and other members. And then subsequently, Alhamdulillah, out at Maruf, we got approval at Clinical Investigation Center, but we are continuing these capacity building activities. And I think the more we do them, the more we will engage our pharmacists and nurses and CRAs in understanding how to deliver it. It's great to be a CRO at the back end and do the auditing and monitoring and all that, but the front end, where you have the clinicians, the physicians, the clinical research associates, the young pharmacists and nurses, when they don't know what they're really doing, then I think there's a big disconnect. And that's why the investment has to be at this front end, and at the back end, the CROs. So then if we are working as a team, then Pakistan can be transformed into a knowledge economy utilizing clinical research industry. So I very much am there for the country, for all the regulators and others. We've sent out sort of an MOU that we are hoping that DRAP would also come around to and understand that if we do it together, then there's be credibility in the courses that we offer, so that the whole country can have some standardized courses which emphasize the essential practical aspects of the NIH courses that are very much available online, NIH clinical pharmacology, bioethics, clinical research, as well as some of the Harvard courses, other courses. But important thing is to then blend them with the Pakistan Good Clinical Practice and the FDA regulations, so that people can understand that if you are going to have credible studies in the country, Pakistan is a rich resource. And I think if we do it well, do it ethically, take care of our vulnerable population, the sky is the limit. So I think we are all here together. And the reason we participate in this excellent initiative of APPNA Merit is because you guys have been very sincerely working at it last few years. And I'm totally convinced that I think if we can collaborate and utilize all these networkings that we are developing with CROs, others today, one company, some other company, another time. So we can also do a little bit of some of these online Zoom meetings specifically geared towards what standardized courses we can develop, so that the country can, as a whole, benefit targeted at the nurses and young pharmacists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kadri. I note, Professor Hassan, that you want to make a comment, and Dr.
Yes.
Umar Hayat. But let me take Dr. Saqib Mahmood, who has been queued in the conversation. And Dr. Saqib, if you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself and make your comment. You're muted, Dr. Saqib. Okay, Dr. Umar Hayat, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Very perfect presentation, I will say. And mashallah, you have a deep knowledge and understanding of the ground reality. I have just minor comment, minor and major at the same time. I will say DRAP should really make it easy for the registration of CROs. And then, of course, they can go after them and do the audits and inspections to raise their quality level. But at the first point, they should really make it as easy as possible, so that everybody has a chance to register, and then let them, by the competition and by the regulations, to improve their quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Hassan, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment and a suggestion to APPNA, and this is in response to the reply by Mr. Khurram to my question. And my comment is that I'm afraid, despite the hard work and the effort of all the partners involved in conducting this CanSino trial in Pakistan, I'm afraid that the authorities and the government still do not realize the groundbreaking work that has been accomplished in Pakistan. And maybe APPNA can do something to sensitize the government there and highlight that, this brilliant work has taken place, and the government needs to own it, and not only own it, but they can also take credit for it. And this will be a big boost for doing more clinical trial work in Pakistan.
These are very well said, and unfortunately, आपकी बात सही है कि बाज़ औक़ात you have to promote yourself and highlight the importance. So people don't even recognize the significance of some of the work being done. We are looking at some of those efforts, and we can talk more about it. But you will see some of that effort from our side for the work you guys are doing in Pakistan to be highlighted at national platforms. So, I had quite a few questions, but I do recognize we're 15 minutes over time. Khurram Saab, if you have a little bit of time, I can stay and ask some more questions of you. And then anybody who wants to stay can stay, and anybody who has to go can leave. We can officially end the actual webinar. So you don't have to stay any more longer for the CME credit. But if you're interested in more conversation, please go ahead and stay.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. If you have a couple of questions, I don't have any issue. Yeah, I can stay 10 minutes more.
Okay. So, Khurram Sahab, let me ask you a few things. आपने बात कही थी कि you have made some effort in development of institutions and site development efforts, and आप थोड़ा site management में भी support करते हैं for new clinical site. So I wanted to hear more about that, and I wanted to hear कि do you have a boilerplate or a structure that you offer to new clinical sites who want to develop or a guideline, okay, what kind of site management structure they need to have, what site staff they need, what kind of resources they have to have on board, on hand, and those kind of things. Do you have a kind of a walkthrough for them? Do you have some guidance program for them?
There are two ways we are working. One is this that we got a study and we are looking for a site, and we found a site that they have the subjects and other infrastructure, but they don't have the clinical trial unit or clinical research trained personnel. So this is, I just like to give you example of National Institute of Blood Disease. It's a private NIBD, Dr. Tayesh Shamsi, and he got a study from GSK way back in 2007 or so. And he know me, so he asked me, "Oh, Khurram, please, I have this, but I don't have people." So they have these rare disease, blood disease patients. So we invest there. They give us the rooms, and we build them. We provide the personnel, and whatever services we were giving to them, we have budgeted it, and we are getting it from the study budget. Okay. But the infrastructure building, of course, we have invested. So with that activity, he trained almost all of their personnel. Then afterwards, in a couple of years, they start independent working. And now, mashallah, they have a lot of studies. They are now offering PhD to the students, to the people who can at NIBD. So it's a success story over there. Sometimes we focus on what you say site that they have the capability. So we sign an MOU of partnership, and this partnership is not like we are not in USA. If you invest like that, you sign exclusive partnership. We are not partnering exclusively. We are only saying that we will do your clinical trial work, and but we will also, from scratch, like if somebody comes to you for clinical trial, we will, negotiate the budget. We will provide things, and we will share the service charges between us and the site. Okay. So in this way, this is a win-win situation again for the site, and they don't have to, hold these people all the time, because, for example, after COVID study in Shifa International Hospital, no other, maybe one other come or not. So what will happen to these 20 people? Where will they go? They will again go into the field again, some other fields. But we are holding our people even for. There was a year in our history that we don't have any project. Only we are paying them our personnel for 1 year. There was a year in our history. But alhamdulillah, in COVID, when the companies are closing, we are getting more business. So this is part of the business. So again, two ways. Like one, we bring anything to the site has the potential, we develop it. Secondly, we have an MOU we cut a deal, and if anything comes, then we do our work, and they get the money for their own work. So this is how we work, right?
I see. So, what I'm understanding is that you can help them develop their own in-house staff for budgeting, for
Yeah.
research coordination, and documentation and all that, or you can offer those services to them at cost, which you basically will then bill to the sponsor who's
Yes.
funding the trial. So,
And
do you have?
one other way, this is in near future, that I just told you that we have discussed this with the US based site management, that they invest, but they sign exclusive agreement. So if any site is interested in that, then the investment will come heavy, and but the agreement will be exclusive.
I see. And then do you have any resources available, or any plans to build any for people who are thinking about going towards clinical side and they want to understand what will be involved, what will be the staff, what different steps or personnel needs are, or resource need are, is there are overview kind of information available, or whether it be anything they can read or watch, or any where they can go to get started if they're thinking about going into this area?
If we are talking about Pakistan, then we are here, and they can just simply give me a call, and then our people will, guide them, and we can guide them. So, but basically, we start with training. Whenever a site approaches us, or we want to go in it on a site, we start with free of cost training to their personnel as part of our MOU. Because as I told you earlier, this is the most issue, the biggest issue we face, that unavailability of trained personnel. So if we start with ICI GCP guideline training.
So I
we
see.
start, and in case of DRAP, now the DRAP guidelines are there. So we like our sites to be DRAP approved. So this is second.
I got your point. I think you're saying that the trainings are offered once they have done an MOU with you.
Yes.
And the one question I had was about the situation of budgeting in Pakistan. Are the studies that are coming in, do they have enough budget to cover cost of starting a site from scratch, or supporting all different elements, different people or personnel, or efforts or resources involved? So for example, if you need to add a site coordinator, if you need to add someone to capture the data, if you need to have extra room to have those study visits done with those patients, are the budgets currently able to support those efforts?
Yes, the budget right now, what I know, is enough to support the site, and even they will have money for other projects investment. So I suppose there's enough money. Even as per international standards, less, much less, but for Pakistani standards, quite a lot, and they can use that money to develop their site personnel, keep some personnel on ongoing basis for at least couple of years.
Okay. I don't know if you're comfortable enough to discuss the numbers, but for example, per patient support for a site for a vaccine trial in US would be somewhere from about $12 to $15,000 per patient enrolled. And for observational studies, much lower, but it's usually is at least $3,000 to $4,000 per patient enrolled. For most of the clinical trials in US. I don't know what the numbers are like in Pakistan, what budget we're talking about.
It's only 10% of that.
I see. There are many questions in my mind, but I'm going to skip some of them. And let me just ask you this more direct question, is that how do you think that Pakistani diaspora or organizations like APPNA Merit, which are educational volunteer organizations, how can we help you or clinical research or innovation in Pakistan from your perspective?
What I've learned in the university, that our teachers were not focused on generating money from this education that we were getting. For example, I was going through microbiology, I was going through for example, dairy microbiology, but the teacher who's teaching me was haven't earned any single one paisa from that activity. So we need to have practical people. We need to have people or education or people who are educating us, who have generated money, who have generated business from these activity. Otherwise, we will be listening to theoretical bookish knowledge, which is not useful right now for Pakistani environment. There's already, you can go online, have a GCP course. But if somebody who have earned money or make a house out of this activity, he will tell you the tricks and the issues very clearly. So that's why my one of my suggestion is this. Plus, this activity need to link with some research activity, some registry, some grant that somehow the student will get benefit out of it. For example, when I was teaching in Dow University Health and Sciences, I make a small survey to my students. Okay, go and ask information about pharmacovigilance, awareness to doctors, pharmacists, common people. And from that survey, we publish a paper. And then also from that, we know that activity. So we develop a pharmacovigilance network or software to report. So there should be some end of the day, something happening going towards a positive direction. Only delivering, giving a certificate, in my view, is not practical if you want to promote or develop something.
That's a very good point. It's a very challenging task, though. One of the issues with us like Apna Merit is that
Yes.
we are we 8,000 miles away from Pakistan, and that unless you have partners on the hand locally who can help with that practical hands-on part of the teaching or education, becomes really really hard. But that's a good point. And
Well, now distance doesn't matter.
well, unless you guide them and give them assignments and then watch them.
Right now, after COVID, even my children are not going to school anymore. I don't know what will happen when they ask them to go to school. Nobody wants to go to school.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you, like for Pakistan, you have to think out of the box. You have to have their own indigenous solutions of your problem. Otherwise, if you start comparing something to some, it's not like that. And this is a challenging business, and people still tell me, when I have started this business, are you fool? You are talking about clean research business. And right now, I don't want to call them fool again. That now, after 10 years or so, Dr. Uzair has seen our struggle and ups and downs for over the whole up till now. So it's not easy, but you have to be dedicated. You have to think out of the box. You have to be committed. Otherwise, if you are not committed, then don't come into this field, especially in Pakistan.
You mentioned 38 clinical sites. Is there a clinical site repository, registry, or a database where people can see what the clinical sites are, or
It's
the CROs
on
maintain on their own?
it's on the DRAB website already. You can
DRAB
go to the DRAB website. The CROs and updated list is there.
Okay.
But this is not. It is again. I'm saying this. This is big. This could become a limiting factor. This is a good idea, but because DRAB don't have the capability on an ongoing basis right now, maybe in future they will. So this is now limiting things. Now what's happening that if I want to open a new site, I will I will push them and fill the form and ask the DRAB to come. Things like that happening. So it is becoming a bottleneck until unless they sort it out.
I see. Well, I think we can stop here unless anybody have any question, Dr. Uzair or Dr. Mustafa or Dr. Sarwat. If you have any questions, go ahead. Otherwise, we can end the meeting for today.
Danish, do we have the separate meeting for 10 minutes afterwards or no?
We can do it. Yeah, there is a link set up.
Yeah. So ask Khurram to join that as well. Really.
Okay. Mr. Khurram, आपके पास वो link है दूसरी meeting का?
Just check your
मेरे
email.
पास
याद दिलाए.
नहीं है.
No, it has been just sent. Check your email, or I can send you.
कौन सी मीटिंग की
send
बात
कर-
हो रही है? I don't have that link.
Okay, we can. Walid, please send it to Dr. Mustafa and Khurram Saab. Okay. Thank you. Thank you both. Shukriya. So it was a pleasure hearing you.
Yeah, I have the link post webinar meeting. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just.
Allah Hafiz.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.